Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 10 a.m. The meeting is called to order. This is the annual stockholders meeting of Soriano Corporation, which we are conducting virtually or through video conference. Joining me is our corporate secretary, attorney Lorna Pataho Kapunan. A while ago, as per our usual practice, your directors had a board meeting, and my fellow directors are also participating through live stream of this annual meeting, which may be accessed through our website. Our stock transfer agent, Stock Transfer Service Inc., validated our voting results prior to the meeting. Ms. Secretary, please certify to the proof of notice of this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Corporate Secretary of Soriano Corporation, I hereby certify that the notice of annual meeting of stockholders and the procedure for registration, participation, and voting in the 2023 annual stockholders meeting of Soriano Corporation were published in full in the business sections of two newspapers of general circulation, namely the Daily Tribune and Malaya Business Insight on March 22 and 23, 2023. Likewise, digital copies of the notice of annual meeting of stockholders and the procedure for the annual meeting, the definitive information statement, and the annual report of the company have all been uploaded and may be viewed in PSE Edge and the company's website.
Thank you. Ms. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Mr. Chairman, I hereby certify that 2,267,818,975 shares of stock, or 95.59% of the issued and outstanding capital stock of the corporation, are represented either by proxy or are present through remote communication in accordance with our procedure for this annual meeting. There is therefore a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The meeting will now proceed with the consideration and approval of the minutes of the annual stockholders meeting held on April 10, 2022. Ms. Secretary, can you please explain and inform us of the voting results for this item?
The minutes of the annual stockholders meeting held on April 20, 2022 have been available for examination by the stockholders in the office of the corporate secretary this past year. In addition, a digital copy of the minutes had been posted since last year in the company's website. Management is proposing for approval of the resolution flashed in your screen. Resolved that the minutes of the annual stockholders meeting held on April 20, 2022 be approved. On the voting results, 2,267,818,975 shares of stock, or 95.59% of the outstanding shares of stock of the company have voted in favor of the resolution either by proxy or through the online stockholders voting system in accordance with our procedure for this annual meeting. The resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you, Ms. Secretary. The next item on the agenda is a presentation of the annual report for 2022. A digital copy of the annual report has been posted in the company's website. I will now give the highlights of the 22 annual report, which includes the financial results for the year ended December 31, 2022, and the operation reports of our subsidiaries. Again, fellow stockholders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and welcome to our virtual stockholders meeting for 2023. The Philippines continued its recovery from the effects of the pandemic and faced risks from increased geopolitical tensions, energy costs, and interest rates. The Philippines struggled with inflation, and to deal with this, the Bangko Sentral ng Filipinas has tightened monetary policy aggressively, with a 350 basis point increase in interest rates. Gross domestic product grew from 5.7 to 7.6% in 2022, as domestic consumption remained resilient despite rising inflation. Easing pandemic restrictions and fully reopening the economy in the last quarter of 2022 accelerated expansion in the services and industry sectors. Accommodation and food services led the growth growing at 32%. High inflation, interest rates, hybrid work arrangements, and reduced POGO tenancy affected the demand for housing, real estate, and rentals. Consequently, many major developers opted to postpone projects. In 2023, risks remain elevated from the effects of the realignment of political powers in the West, China, and the Middle East, the continuing war in Ukraine, the need for food and energy security, the rising cost of living, cybersecurity, and the increasing possibility of a recession in developed economies later this year. Despite these dark storm clouds, we feel the country will grow economically alongside the relatively favorable outlook for Asian economies. ANSCOR's 2022 net income reached 2.8 billion pesos from 2.5 billion pesos, primarily from ANSCOR International sale of AG&P International Holdings Pte. Limited for a consideration of $38.5 million, resulting in a one-time gain of 2.2 billion pesos. Phelps Dodge Energy Products Corporation, PDP, continues to be the main contributor to ANSCOR's revenues at 1 billion pesos, comprised of 956 million in equity earnings and 100 million in management fees. ANSCOR's share in resort earnings improved from 48 million to 89 million in 2022, while KSA Realty Corporation provided 100 million in cash dividends. ANSCOR's investment portfolio, which posted a gain of 1.4 billion in 2021, reversed to a loss of just under 1 billion due to a decrease in market values of local and internationally traded securities. The Philippine Stock Exchange fell 600 points during the year. This contributed to a 194 million loss on Philippine traded equities against a gain of 1.8 billion in 2021. Foreign traded shares accounted for a 586 million loss in 2022, and this was lower than last year's loss of 900 million pesos. Investments in bonds and managed funds impacted by the increase in interest rates across the globe registered a decline of 374 million pesos versus a gain of 12.7 million in 2021. Financial portfolio losses, however, were offset by a foreign exchange gain of 294.6 million pesos. ANSCOR paid a total cash dividend of 2.5 billion pesos, or 1 peso a share in 2022. In addition, in March 2023, ANSCOR declared another cash dividend of 50 centavos. The book value per share of your company increased by 7.3% from 16 pesos and 67 centavos to 17 pesos and 89 centavos as of December 31, 2022. PDP's sales volume rose by 5% over that in 2021. PDP made substantial inroads in the communication and energy sectors that offset a 25% decline in sales in the high-rise and small and mall project segments. Provincial sales increased in Visayas, Mindanao, and Northern Luzon. 2022 revenues reached 10.7 billion pesos, a 23% over the previous year. Net profit increased from 909 million pesos to 956 million pesos, the highest in PDP's history. Notably, costs were also kept at the same level as 2021, despite high inflation during the period. PDP will pursue its growth strategy. It will increase its production capability and flexibility, will shorten delivery times. Feasibility studies on solar panels are ongoing. PDP will continue to build on the strengths of its sustainability and governance programs, its enviable safety record, and its strongly adhered to health protocols. It will also actively participate in the projects of the Andres Soriano Foundation. Amampulo reintroduced itself as a must-travel destination as Philippine borders reopened to tourists in February 2022. Amampulo bounced back strongly. Revenue improved to 1.1 billion pesos and net income of 143 million pesos was realized, and this is nearly equal to the pre-pandemic level. Amampulo was awarded Asia's leading private island resort, the Philippines' leading private island resort, and the world's leading dive resort by the World Travel Awards 2022. It is a globally recognized luxury resort of choice. Island Aviation purchased 2 new planes for Amampulo guests that will start service in May and June of 2023. ATRAM weathered volatile markets in 2022, ending the year with assets under management at 157 billion pesos, 9.9% lower than that of the previous year. Though inflation and geopolitical concerns kept investors on the sidelines, the company generated positive net inflows of 4.2 billion pesos. ATRAM's group revenues grew by 20% to 872 million in 2022. It received multiple awards and industry recognitions during the year. The office leasing operations of the Enterprise Center, TEC, of KSA Realty Corporation continued to be challenged. TEC's average effective rent per square meter decreased by 7%, reducing rental income by 18% and lowering average occupancy to 66% as compared to last year's 80%. Net income stood at 700 million pesos. Despite the negative growth in rental revenue and net income, KSA declared 700 million in dividends in 2022, of which 100 million was Anscor's share, as against 185 million in 2021. A portion of the company's assets is dedicated to private equity funds and early-stage opportunities. Anscor began investing in YMAbs Therapeutics Inc. in 2015, which was listed on the NASDAQ in 2018. YMAbs is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company that develops and commercializes novel antibody-based therapeutic products to treat cancer. Unfortunately, the US FDA declined to approve the second pivotal stage product, omburtamab. This program has since been deprioritized to focus on developing the self-assembly disassembly technology platform. Corporate restructuring during the year extended the company's cash runway into late 2024. YMAB's stock price fell 70% in 2022 from $16.21 to $4.88 at year end. Anscor invested $5 million in Grab Holdings, the leading on-demand transportation and food delivery provider in Southeast Asia. In December 2021, Grab was listed on the NASDAQ. In 2022, sales grew by 38%. Despite the positive operating trends, shares in Grab Holdings, like many of its high-growth peers, fell dramatically in 2022 and ended down 55% from its initial public offering price. Anscor has committed $20 million to Navigar 1 LP, Navigar 2 LP, and Sierra Madre Philippines 1 LP, three Philippine-focused private equity funds. Investments are diversified across e-commerce, business process outsourcing, information technology, casual dining, logistics, education, and retail. In March 2021, Anscor committed $6 million to Asia Partners One, a Singapore-based private equity fund focused on high-growth technology and technology-enabled companies across Southeast Asia. In March 2022, on the back of the solid performance from AP1, a follow-on commitment of $10 million was made to Asia Partners 2. Additional investments that were made in 2022 included a $3 million investment in Blue Voyant, an early-stage U.S. cybersecurity firm, a $3 million commitment to Third Prime, a U.S.-based equity fund focused on finance and property technology, a $1.2 million follow-on co-investment in SCI, a Singapore-based e-commerce company alongside Asia Partners, a $1.6 million co-investment in Caffeine, an early-stage U.S. financial technology company alongside Third Prime, and a $750,000 investment in Wholesome Spirits, an early-stage U.S. company focused on the sales and marketing of tequila-based seltzer drink. In corporate social responsibility, the major programs of the Andres Soriano Foundation in health, education, livelihood, environmental protection and conservation, and cancer care continue to positively impact its recipients. Its nutrition initiatives resulted in 84% of the 200 malnourished beneficiaries attaining normal weight and improving the overall health of the community. Even without face-to-face classes, the Foundation's education program continued to support the senior high school of Manamok Island and community with scholarships and other assistance. The Foundation's livelihood program gave local-based weavers and livelihood groups training and organizational capacity building and provided new technology to increase production and quality. The Foundation partnered with the local government for its environmental protection initiatives that include community-driven coastal cleanup, mango planting drives, a marine protected area monitoring. Its newly launched solid waste management provides community lectures and machines for waste recycling and repurposing, while the War on Plastics project engages the community in waste reduction. The Cancer Care Program at the UP-PGH receives ASF funding and basic facility needs. It aims to increase the number of medical oncologists for cancer patients, especially in remote areas, through a partnership with 5 pharmaceutical companies. In disaster relief, ASF helped rehabilitate the Andres Soriano Memorial Elementary School in Rojas, Palawan, that was damaged by Typhoon Odette. The Philippine economy is expected to pick up in spite of global events. GDP is projected to experience growth. and as foreign travel rebounds, Amampulo is expected to grow occupancy. ATRAM will benefit from its digital initiatives and improved investment climate. And we look forward to increased occupancy at the Enterprise Center and for financial markets to recover. The combined performance of Anscor's holdings will continue to enhance shareholder value. Our fundamentals are strong. On behalf of your board of directors, may I express our deepest appreciation and thanks for your continuing support of our stock by our stockholders and the patronage of our customers and the loyalty and dedication of our employees. Thank you and good morning. We will now entertain questions from the stockholders, and for this purpose, we have received questions sent through email at registration@anscor.com.ph in accordance with our procedure for this annual meeting. Ms. Secretary, can you please read the questions?
Mr. Chairman, we received two questions from the shareholders. The first one is, has the company recovered its investment when it sold its holdings in AGNP? And the second question is, has the company recovered the investment in YMAbs Therapeutics, Inc.?
Thank you. To answer the first question, the company has fully recovered its investment in AGNP of 1.96 billion pesos that was made in 2013. And this was accomplished despite the company doing very, very poorly for all those years. So a great credit to the team that has pursued this endeavor for us to get our money back. And I was very pleased that we were able to close the transaction last year. As to the second question, yes, the company has recovered its investment of just under $10 million in YMAbs, and the money that we have invested today or the number of shares we have invested today, which I believe is about 800,000 shares, is still there to make gains from the expected improvement that YMAbs is beginning to show again. So I am quite hopeful that we will be making quite a bit of money here, but we have recovered our initial investment in both cases. Are there any further questions, Ms. Secretary?
There are no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
So the next item is the approval of the 2022 annual report and the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2022. Copies of these have been uploaded in the company's website. Ms. Secretary, will you please inform us of the proposed resolution and the voting results for this item?
Management is proposing for the approval of the resolution flashed in your screen. Resolved that the 2022 annual report and the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2022 be approved. On the voting results, 2,867,818,975 shares of stock, or 95.59% of the total outstanding shares of stock of the company, have voted in favor of the resolution either by proxy or through the online stockholders voting system. The resolution is therefore approved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The next item of business is the election of directors. Ms. Secretary, will you please inform us as to the nominations received?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Section 3A of Article 4 of the bylaws of the corporation, the following were nominated on March 1, 2023. Mr. Andres Soriano III, Mr. Eduardo J. Soriano, Mr. Ernest K. Cuyekeng, Mr. Johnson Robert Go Jr., Mr. Oscar J. Elado, Mr. William H. Otiger, and Mr. Alfonso S. Yuchenko III. Mr. Oscar J. Elado, Mr. Alfonso S. Yuchenko III and Mr. Johnson Robert G. Go Jr. have been nominated as the independent directors of the company. On the voting results, Mr. Andres Soriano III garnered 2,890,318,441 votes, while the rest of the nominees for election as directors garnered 2,864,069,064 votes. They are hereby declared as the duly elected members of the Board of Directors for the ensuing year. Congratulations to the new board, Mr. Chairman.
And I thank the shareholders on behalf of the board for their faith and confidence in us. Thank you, Ms. Secretary. The next item on the agenda is the continuation of Mr. Oscar Hilado to act as our independent director of the company, notwithstanding that he has already served for more than 9 years as an independent director. Can you please inform us of the voting results?
Management is proposing for the approval of the resolution flashed on your screen. Resolved that continuation of Mr. Oscar J. Hilado to act as independent director of the company be approved. On the voting results, 2,864,069,064 shares of stock, or 95.47% of the total outstanding shares of stock of the company, have voted in favor of the resolution by proxy or through the online stockholders voting system. The resolution, Mr. Chairman, is therefore approved.
Thank you. The next item of business is the approval of the amendment of sections 2 and 3 of Article 3 of the company's bylaws. Ms. Secretary, can you please explain and inform us of the voting results for this item?
Management, Mr. Chairman, is proposing for the approval of the resolution as flashed in everyone's screen. Resolved that a second paragraph to Section 2 of Article 3 of the bylaws be added in order to provide the option to hold the stockholders meeting virtually or via remote communication, and shall read as follows. Section 2, the Board of Directors may authorize stockholders who cannot physically attend a stockholders meeting to participate in such meetings through remote communications or other alternative modes of communication. The right to vote of stockholders may also be exercised through remote communication or in absentia, when so authorized by the Board of Directors. The resolution of the Board of Directors authorizing the stockholders' participation in stockholders' meeting through remote communication and or the right to vote through remote communications or in absentia shall also be applicable for a particular meeting. Resolve further that Section 3 of Article 3 of the bylaws be amended to include email and other alternative methods of sending notices of meetings to stockholders, and shall read as follows. Section 3, notices of ordinary stockholders meetings shall be sent to stockholders of record at least 15 business days prior to the scheduled annual stockholders meeting. Notices for special meetings shall be mailed and deposited in any post office in Metro Manila, addressed to each stockholder at his or her address, registered in the stock and transfer books of the corporation at least 15 business days prior to the date of the meeting. The notices of stockholders meeting may likewise be sent to the stockholders through email or by posting in the corporation's website and by publication in a newspaper of general circulation when so permitted by the rules and regulations or circulars issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission. The notice shall state the business to be discussed at the meeting, and any other matters not stated therein shall not be touched upon. The notice to the stockholders shall also include the requirements and procedures to be followed when stockholders are allowed to participate by remote communication or in absentia, and the manner of casting of votes, and the period during which votes by remote communications or in absentia will be accepted. Mr. Chairman, on the voting results, 2,867,818,975 shares of stock, or 95.59% of the total outstanding shares of stock of the company, have voted in favor of the resolution either by proxy or through the online stockholders voting system. Mr. Chairman, the resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you. The next item of business is the approval of the amendment of Section 6 and 7 of Article 4 of the company's bylaws. Ms. Secretary, can you please explain and inform us of the voting results for this item?
Management, Mr. Chairman, is proposing for the approval of the resolution as flashed in the screen. Resolved that a second paragraph be added to Section 6 of Article 4 of the bylaws to indicate other means of participation by directors and manner of voting at board meetings, and shall read as follows. Section 6, directors who cannot physically attend or vote at board meetings may participate through remote communication such as video conferencing, teleconferencing, and other alternative modes of communication that allow them reasonable opportunities to participate. Directors cannot attend or vote by proxy at board meetings. Resolved further that Section 7 of Article 4 of the bylaws be amended to include email and messaging services as methods of sending notices of meetings to directors, and shall read as follows. Section 7, notice of the regular or special meetings of the board shall be communicated by the secretary to each director by email, messaging services, verbally or in writing at his residence or usual place of business at least 24 hours before the meeting. On the voting results, 2,867,818,975 shares of stock, or 95.59% of the total outstanding shares of stock of the company, have voted in favor of the resolution either by proxy or through the online stockholders voting system. Mr. Chairman, the resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you. The next item of business is the appointment of the corporation's external auditors. Management has proposed the appointment of CICIP Gores Velayo and Company. Ms. Secretary, can you please inform us of the voting results for this item?
Management, Mr. Chairman, is proposing for the approval of the resolution flashed on your screen. Resolved that CICIP Gores Velayo and Company be appointed as the external auditors of the company. On voting results, 2,817,975 shares of stock, or 95.59% of the total outstanding shares of stock of the company, have voted in favor of this resolution either by proxy or through the online stockholders voting system. Mr. Chairman, the resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you. The next item of business is the ratification of all acts, contracts, investments, and resolution of the Board of Directors and Management. Since the last annual meeting, as set forth in the minute book, the annual report, the audited financial statements, or as disclosed in reports to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Philippine Stock Exchange. Ms. Secretary, will you please inform us of the proposed resolution and the voting results from this item?
Management is proposing for the approval of the resolution flashed in your screen. Resolved that all acts, contracts, investments, and resolutions of the Board of Directors and Management since the last annual meeting, as set forth in the minutes book, the annual report, the audited financial statement, or as disclosed in reports to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Philippine Stock Exchange, be approved. On the voting results, 2,867,817,975 shares of stock, or 95.59% of the total outstanding shares of stock of the company, have voted in favor of the resolution, either by proxy or through the online stockholders voting system. Mr. Chairman, the resolution is therefore approved.
Thank you. If there are no other matters that shareholders wish to take up on behalf of your board of directors, I want to take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks and appreciation to all our employees for their support and dedication to our company. To you, our fellow stockholders, for your continued support and confidence in your company through these years. We will now entertain a motion for adjournment of the meeting.
I am Jose Cayobi, a stockholder. I move to adjourn this meeting.
I am Emelinda Orozco, a stockholder. I second the motion.
Thank you and good day to everyone. The meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you and good day.